Just before dawn on September 8th, 2022, the blades of a helicopter cut through the cold morning air over Scotland. Inside Balmoral Castle, Queen Elizabeth II rests under close watch. Something is wrong. Her doctors are concerned, and they've quietly alerted her family. Far to the south, a royal helicopter lifts off from Windsor Castle, carrying Prince Charles on an urgent journey north. The world outside knows nothing of this. To everyone else, it's just another morning. But within the Queen's beloved Balmoral, a long life of duty is reaching its final hours. By the end of this day, Britain will lose its longest reigning monarch. What begins as a calm, routine morning will end in national mourning. Will her family make it in time to say goodbye? What really happened behind those closed castle doors? This is the story of the last day of Queen Elizabeth II. Morning light creeps through the Highland mist as Balmoral Castle awakens. The Queen, 96 years old, starts her day in the privacy of her Scottish retreat. There's no fanfare, no alarms, just the gentle rhythms of a routine she's kept for decades. Perhaps a cup of Earl Grey tea is brought to her bedside. Normally, she might dress and greet the day with a smile, but today is different. Today, the Queen's frailty is unmistakable. 2 days earlier, on September 6th, the Queen had summoned every ounce of strength to fulfill her duty. Leaning on a cane but smiling warmly, she appointed her 15th Prime Minister, Liz Truss, in a historic first at Balmoral. It was a final act of service from a monarch who had given everything to her role. But behind the scenes, her health was already faltering. By the next evening, the palace announced she would rest on doctor's orders and postponed a meeting, a rare sign of trouble. Now, on the morning of September 8th, an uneasy quiet settles over Balmoral. Close aides and family members exchange worried glances. Princess Anne is already there. Royal physicians quietly monitor her condition. The Queen, dignified as ever, doesn't complain. She has always kept her struggles private. Even now, as her life ebbs, she carries on with grace and restraint. Prince Charles arrives at Balmoral mid-morning, looking grave. Camilla soon follows from a nearby estate. They enter quietly. This is a private, somber reunion behind closed doors. Charles gently takes his mother's hand. The Queen offers a faint, grateful smile. No words are needed. A lifetime of understanding passes between mother and son. Outside, the royal staff move with purpose but hushed steps. Centuries-old protocols are set in motion in case the unthinkable happens. A royal private secretary places discreet phone calls to the Prime Minister's office in London, relaying that the Queen's condition has worsened. At 10:30 a.m., the doors of Balmoral remain firmly shut, but inside, those who love Elizabeth II gather and pray that she will pull through once more. Yet, in their hearts, they all know this day is different. Noon approaches, the Queen sleeps, the family gathers. Outside, the world keeps spinning, for now. Shortly after noon, Buckingham Palace alerts the public that the Queen's doctors are concerned and that she is resting comfortably at Balmoral. That careful statement sends shockwaves through Britain. News anchors fall into hushed tones, and anxious crowds gather outside Buckingham Palace, bracing for the worst. Back at Balmoral, a quiet urgency fills the corridors. The time has come to summon the rest of the family. A phone call is made to Prince William. He's second in line to the throne and understands immediately. He must get to Scotland fast. William, along with the Queen's other children, Prince Andrew and Prince Edward, and Edward's wife Sophie, board a Royal Air Force jet in a race against time. Prince Harry, the Queen's grandson, also scrambles to head north, though traveling separately. Each minute is precious. They all carry the same hope, to be there to see her one last time. Inside the Queen's bedroom, the atmosphere is calm but heavy with emotion. The Queen lies in bed, propped up with pillows, eyes closed in rest. Princess Anne stands vigil at her mother's side, steady, devoted. Charles and Camilla are there too, quietly speaking gentle words to the Queen, or perhaps simply sitting in respectful silence. The only sound is the ticking of a clock. It's a scene of private, intimate grief. Meanwhile, beyond the castle gates, the machinery of monarchy is in motion. Government officials in London are alerted through a secure cascade of messages. Aides quietly prepare for the inevitable. In London, Prime Minister Truss receives word that the Queen's condition is dire, a reality that overshadows her first days in office. Up in the sky, the RAF plane carrying William, Andrew, Edward, and Sophie hurtles northward. Every second feels too slow. In the cabin, the royal passengers sit in grim silence. Prince William stares out the window at the clouds, likely praying silently for his grandmother to hold on. On another flight, Prince Harry races from London as well, alone with his thoughts and worries. The royals are converging on Balmoral, but time is against them. At Balmoral, around 2:00 p.m., the Queen's breathing grows shallow. A doctor checks her pulse with a gentle touch. Princess Anne leans in and whispers something softly, perhaps reassuring her mother that everyone is on their way. Outside, rain clouds gather over the Scottish hills, as if nature itself is holding its breath. The family is near, but will they be able to say their farewells face to face? At 3:10 p.m. on September 8, 2022, a profound silence falls over Balmoral Castle. In the Queen's private bedroom, Elizabeth II takes her final breath. She goes peacefully, as gently as the fading of dusk. Princess Anne is holding her mother's hand. Prince Charles stands at the foot of the bed, bowing his head. After 96 remarkable years of life and 70 years on the throne, Britain's beloved sovereign is gone. There are no last words broadcast to the world, no grand gestures, only the profound stillness of a passing monarch surrounded by love. Inside the room, tears are shed quietly. Anne, ever composed, closes her eyes in grief, but also in gratitude. She was there for her mother's final moments. Charles feels the weight of sorrow and duty. He has lost his mother and in the same instant become king. Camilla places a comforting hand on Charles's shoulder. In that private bubble of grief, the new king and his sister cling to each other, both overwhelmed and united by the moment. The news is not yet public, but the centuries-old protocol is already in motion. The Queen's private secretary alerts the Prime Minister with the code phrase, "London Bridge is down." A cascade of messages quietly spreads to inform other officials and governments. At Balmoral, staff lower the Union Jack to half-mast and prepare the official death notice. Every step follows a plan rehearsed for years, now carried out through real sorrow. Downstairs, loyal staff wipe away tears, but maintain their composure. They will have time to mourn later. For now, they honor her by carrying out her final orders. At 3:50 p.m., Prince William arrives at Balmoral with Andrew, Edward, and Sophie, about 40 minutes after the Queen's passing. They are greeted with the heartbreaking news. William had so hoped to see his granny alive. Now he joins Charles and Anne in grief. The family gathers and absorbs the reality that their steadfast matriarch is gone. As evening approaches, the inner circle at Balmoral knows the world must be told. Together, they make sure every detail is ready. The Queen's passing will be announced with the grace and dignity she embodied. In London, BBC broadcasters quietly change into black attire off-camera. The palace prepares a short, simple statement for the public. The stage is set for a historic announcement, one that will mark the end of an era. All that remains is to tell the people and let the world begin to mourn. At 6:30 p.m., as dusk settles in London, the official announcement is released. The Queen died peacefully at Balmoral this afternoon. These words flash across television screens and echo on radio broadcasts around the globe. Outside Buckingham Palace, the crowd that had been holding its breath lets out a collective gasp of grief. Then many bow their heads and cry. In a poignant tradition, a notice signed by the royal physicians is pinned to the palace gates. A hushed silence falls over the gathering crowd as they read the news. Church bells begin to toll across the nation. London's iconic landmarks dim their lights. Through the sorrow, there's a strange stillness, as if the United Kingdom itself has paused to pay respect. The country has lost not just a monarch, but its symbol of stability and continuity for 70 years. Back in Balmoral, the royal family mourns together in private. Prince Harry arrives later in the evening, once the sad news is public. He joins his relatives in sorrow behind those castle walls. They are simply a family grieving a beloved mother and grandmother. They reminisce about the Queen's remarkable life, her sense of humor, her unwavering sense of duty, and her love for family and corgis. In their mourning, they find comfort in these shared memories of a woman who meant so much to so many. The world's reaction pours in. Candles, flowers, and handwritten notes pile up outside royal residences around the world. Many people, even those who never met her, feel they've lost someone dear. Queen Elizabeth II had been a constant presence, a silent, steady guide through decades of change. From the post-World War II era to the digital age, she weathered every storm with poise. Now that anchor is gone. Yet amid the sorrow, there is profound admiration. Her last day reflected everything she stood for: duty, privacy, and dignity. She could have been in a hospital surrounded by machines and doctors, but she chose to remain in the comfort of Balmoral, among family and familiar things. Even in death, she upheld the understated style that defined her reign. No dramatic final words, no spectacle. In an age of constant exposure, she remained to the very end a figure of enduring mystery and grace. The second Elizabethan era has ended, not with a bang, but with a gentle, dignified farewell. A chapter in history closes, and a new one begins with King Charles III. But this day, the last day of Elizabeth II, will be remembered as the final chapter of a monarch who kept her promise to serve until her very last breath. Queen Elizabeth II's final day was a study in quiet leadership. She left this world in the same graceful, dutiful manner in which she lived, surrounded by love and tradition. Her passing marked the end of an era. Britain lost not just a monarch, but its reassuring anchor of 70 years. Yet her legacy, her poise, unwavering duty, and silent strength will live on as the world moves into a new age without her.